Some people have the wrong goal. What do you want the money for? I have a very clear objective of what I want to spend money on. Spend it on horses.
Yeah.
I want to spend it on my family.
Yeah.
I want to spend it on having a great life. Not so much that I want to see $1 million in my bank account. It's that I want to see that I can continue breeding horses, playing polo, having fun with
The
family.
meaning behind it.
If polo didn't cost so much, I wouldn't need $1 million. I would need, $100,000.
Today's guest is someone who operates at the highest levels of both capital allocation and elite sport. Fred, welcome to the Performance Code. Now, many people know the Mannix name. It's one of the most storied business families in Canadian history. The family helped build some of the most significant infrastructure projects in North America, including the Trans-Canada Highway, sections of St. Lawrence Seaway, major subway systems, and a business empire that has spanned real estate, energy, ranching, and natural resources for generations. It's a legacy measured not just in wealth, but in stewardship, long-term thinking, and building institutions that last. But what fascinates me about your story, Fred, is that you didn't simply inherit a seat at the table. You chose to compete in arenas where your last name couldn't score the points for you. In sport, you became Canada's highest-ranked polo player ever, earning a remarkable 9-goal handicap in a game where 10 goals is the absolute maximum, and where only a handful of athletes in the world would ever reach that level. You competed against the best players on the planet, became the first Canadian in nearly 80 years to compete in polo's Argentine Triple Crown, and only the second Canadian in more than a century to play in the Argentine Open, the most prestigious tournament in the sport. And while building that athletic career, you were also building expertise in another high-performance environment, the capital markets. Today, you serve as Executive Vice President at Accelerate Financial Technologies and are the founder of Standard Wealth, where you developed a total portfolio approach designed to solve what you call the fiduciary gap for institutional allocators and high net worth families. Since launching in February 2020, that strategy has reportedly delivered a 15.3% compound annual growth rate with a 0.78 Sharpe ratio, significantly outperforming traditional balanced benchmarks. You're a chartered investment manager, a portfolio manager, a graduate of Florida Atlantic University. Your work sits at the intersection of Bay Street and Wall Street, constantly searching for emerging opportunities, understanding market rotations, and helping families preserve and grow purchasing power across generations. Fred, welcome to the Performance Code Show.
Thank you, Paige. That's quite the introduction. Thank you.
Well, you have a thorough history. I had to get it all in. So I wanted to have this conversation today because beneath the family legacy, beneath the polo career, and beneath the investment results, there's a deeper question. What does it take to perform when expectations are already sky high? How do you carry responsibility across generations while still building something that is distinctly your own?
Well, it's a good question. I think from a young age, I realized, our family legacy was going to be present wherever I went. And I always had the feeling from my mother and father to not waste the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And that really started in sport when I had access to the horses and polo and the field and the professionals. I just felt that I knew I was in a privileged position and I didn't want to be, the spoiled rich kid that didn't really take his best swing at it. Mm-hmm. So from a young age, I really was quite focused to become the best I could be around the polo and the horses. And that type of responsibility was just kind of thrown upon me in a way that there was no escaping it. It was like either embrace it and take the pressure on or don't. But, luckily I had great mentors and my parents instilled solid values at a young age. And so they made it easy for me to accept that pressure. And even though it started with the sporting aspect, I felt that pressure pretty continuously up until even today, just simply because the family has done very well in the business arena. And we have built some pretty serious projects uniting Canada. And so when I think about stepping outside of the field and into the business arena, the pressure is good pressure because we come from a privileged position to start businesses and really pursue an entrepreneurial drive. And so I think that pressure was a lot easier to accept than the sports pressure in one way. It was very black and white and cut and dry, and it was either you were going to make it or you were not. And that scared me a lot more than the business pressure because I knew I wanted to go play at the highest level in the sports arena.
Yeah.
But in the business arena, what is success to yourself or what is success to me is very individual. And so I found actually in the business arena quite more malleable to pressure. Like I could control it better.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm having so much fun. Because now I feel like I'm in my second half of my life where I've had a great polo career and sporting career. And but like all good things as a sportsman, it becomes harder to play at the highest level. And yeah, the business arena is one that I'm walking into and enjoying quite a bit.
Yeah. And how do you channel that pressure? How do you manage it? Because pressure, like you said, can also ebb and flow.
Well, I've had some great mentors over time, and I think I learned little pieces from each of them. Specifically, when we're right at the peak of pressure, breathing, putting oxygen in your body, thinking calmly and smoothly about the situation. And pressure in some ways is a result of not having the experience to know what's going to happen. And so in sport, because it's quite random in some ways, you can build a great game plan, but if the other team comes out in a different formation or with a different type of energy, your game plan now needs to be revised. It's the same thing in business, but it moves at a slower pace business.
Yeah.
You have more time to adjust and think methodically. So I find myself when I'm feeling pressure in the business arena that I needed to just take 15 minutes, quiet, think about what I'm doing, maybe write down what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And then you can put that anxiety to the side because action usually helps you move through difficult times. And even that 15 minutes of creative thinking and writing down what you need to do, I found has helped me in the past. When you're right at the peak, like the pinnacle of pressure and anxiety, that's helped me in the past.
Yeah. What does that anxiety feel like to you personally?
It's terrible. Nobody likes feeling that rush of energy that you feel like it's a ball of energy you can't control.
Yeah.
And it's not conducive to clear thinking, that's for sure. So if you can take some time away privately and just think or speak with somebody that can help you, I've found that's helped me. And luckily I have a beautiful partner in life, Kelsey Forzani. And over time, I've always loved her, but I feel like over time we've become much better at communicating when there are points of pressure in the road and solving problems together. So instead of your only mind figuring out something that's directly in front of you where you're feeling anxiety, I feel like we've been able to communicate and help solve that pain point together.
Yeah. Interestingly, anxiety is an emotion, right? And any emotion only lasts 90 seconds, according to neuroscience, unless you feed into it. So your strategy of externalizing it, writing it down, somatic breathing, those are all like really practical things that you can do to allow that emotion to pass. And then once it passes, your executive function, your thinking brain comes back online, and then that's how you're able to apply logic to it. But when you're in that moment of anxiety and the heart is racing and you can't quite think straight, then the executive mind goes offline. Your fight or flight is active. There's no thinking your way out of that. So I like when you mentioned that breathing technique.
The breathing technique really came as well. I realized it from a very young age.
Yeah.
Because when you're on the horses and you're playing polo, the hardest shot is always the last shot to score. And it's because you might have brought the ball up the field and you're concentrating and you have tension in your body and you hold your breath. And often you run out of oxygen to finish that last play to score.
Yeah.
And so I had a mentor very young when I was like 17 or 18. He's like, you're holding your breath.
Yeah, you don't even realize
He's like, keep breathing. Like that last swing was rushed and weak.
Yeah.
Why? You had time. And I'm like, he goes, you're holding your breath. And so I think, I learned pieces from everyone early on. And that's obviously, I've been able to take that to other parts of my life. But yeah, breathing. I mean, I say it to my son. He's 11, and when he's having a tough time on the sports field, I'm like, okay, but 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and like think for a second. Think about what you're doing.
I was gonna ask about that kind of somatic component in relation to partner in sport who's a horse and nonverbal. Is it true that they can feel your psychological state, your energy, what kind of fear and stuff like that?
Absolutely. I mean, horses are quite intelligent, and imagine that they weigh 10 times more than us. So they're quite malleable and docile to commands and instructions. And I would relate them much more back to what most people in the world today can relate to is a big dog or like a police dog. The police dogs are extremely well trained, and they can sense if you have the nervousness, and they can sense if you have the control to be able to actually get them to behave in the way that you want. And the horses are exactly the same. Think about like having your hands in a calm position, or your riding seat in a calm position, or your legs in a calm position, or if you were in kind of a frantic, busy energy, that will definitely be transmitted to the horses. And so part of the skill is being smooth in your instructions to the horse, but also quick on the field and going to the next play.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. What's something from sport that you translated and brought with you into business, like a lesson?
Building a team, recognizing that different players have different skills, and not asking some players to do certain things that they can't do, because nobody likes to be set up for failure. So understanding like what your teammates can do well and what they can't, I think is one of the reasons why we've had success at Accelerate and with Standard Wealth, is because our team is small, but we are incredibly focused on our core skill sets. And together we're a very competent team. But if you were to ask me, Fred, I need you to take a look at some of the compliance that needs to be performed this week, I will be out of my depth. I'm not a compliance officer. Or if you said, hey, I need you to take a look at some of the marketing materials that need to be produced this week, that is not my strength. I'm really much more, my skill set is around fundamental analysis of securities and building a portfolio that can, in most circumstances, perform, in a logical manner. So I think it's also understanding like where your weaknesses are, and there's no point in trying to, in a business setting, if you can put logical people around you, you don't need to be super well-rounded. You need to have a super well-rounded team.
And on that note of team, because it is one of the most vital aspects of having a successful business, but I speak to a lot of founders and CEOs who struggle to know when to let someone go. How do you make that decision? Have you ever had to let someone go?
So luckily in the business arena, I've been fortunate, the investment committee team is 5 of us, and we started at the beginning together, and we're still all together.
So you picked them right the first time?
Well, to be honest, I joined Accelerate already pre-made. They were already in the market, and we formed a partnership so we could launch Standard Wealth. And so they were already a well-oiled machine, and I came in and I've been able to complement the team over time. I think where I've had some recognize that there needed to be changes has been specifically around the horses and the polo, because I had more control there as the owner of the team, and also the responsibility of making the team function. So quickly, I saw some people, I'm thinking specifically to people that had high skills but maybe low motivation. And so a few times I was like, yes, this guy is an excellent rider and an excellent trainer, but his energy level is too low compared to what the other team members are doing, and that he is distracting from that energy output being consistently high. And so I spoke with him a few times, and eventually you can't change some people's drive. And so we had to part ways, which was too bad. We left on good terms. I just said, you have a lot of talent, but this is a job, and we need certain output and results from you, and sitting down when other guys are standing and working is just not going to do it. So I've seen it better in sport when things needed to change. Luckily in the business arena, I'm not going to say it's all been smooth sailing, but we've been quite fortunate that the formation of the Accelerate team at the beginning was well thought out and complementary in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So it sounds like drive you look for as like an attribute when picking a team member or business partner. What else do you look for?
Well, I want somebody that doesn't do what I do well. I mean, I know I have a very narrow band of expertise, but it needs complements in many ways. Like we just shared, compliance. I don't have that. Marketing. I don't have that. Trading. That's not me. Even as the CEO, like interfacing with the board of directors and shareholders, like that hasn't been me. So I know I have some gaps in my skill set, and when I'm thinking about who I want to work with, it's mostly in this current formation today. I want to work with people who have strong distribution skills for financial products. I want to work with people who can aggregate capital. I want to work with people that have high EQ, because the IQ that we've built around Accelerate is present. It's obvious. If you were to meet my teammates, you'd say, those are some smart guys. And they built a business based on intelligence. Where we may be looking to expand our capabilities, it's definitely around having a higher EQ, being just more present in the market. Like we're a small shop here in Calgary that's growing quickly, but we're not well known in the financial service industry. So it's up to us to change that.
Yeah.
And who's going to help us do that? People that excel around distribution, aggregating capital, being an extrovert, strong in the marketing.
Yeah.
So that's really where we are continuously thinking, how can we improve the team so we can get better distribution, more clients.
What is EQ to you? Can it be taught?
It can, definitely, because through lessons, I'll give you a good example.
Yeah.
So we are a high IQ team, and we used to perform our meetings with investment advisors and potential clients and prospects.
Yeah.
We would tell them all about what we did, and their eyes would glaze over in a very polite way, like Canadians are. It just wasn't resonating. And so we had to take a time out and say, listen, we're running these 30-minute meetings and we're talking for like 26 minutes of it. I don't think that's going to work. And so we completely flipped the script and said, like, if we were more personable, if we were more like fun in these meetings rather than telling, if we were asking, would the results be better? And through some self-help, like really YouTube, speaking with other people in the industry, trying to understand like what we were not, helped us really understand like, okay, wait a second. Once we get through the pleasantries of like, Paige, how are you? Fred, okay, we're both here in Calgary, how is it? If the next question is, what is the pain point in the portfolio? That will open up a whole window of conversation where you can understand, like, they might say like, no, things are amazing. We don't need any help. Or they might say, we have a very big problem with this part of the portfolio. And so you know where to go, because in business, you need to be a problem solver. You need to be a service provider that solves a problem for your client. When things are going extremely well, they're not going to change. They're not interested to learn more. It's going to be an uphill fight. But if you identify where the pain point is in their business and you ask the question of like, is this a pain point? What have you done to solve this pain point? Would you be open to learning about different solutions in the market that could address that pain point? Like the 3 questions I just said there, that took us like 3 or 4 years to understand. Those have to be present when you're out there marketing and trying to bring on clients.
Yeah, you're tapping into something in psychology, is an active listening technique called Socratic questioning. So basically, it's a technique, and I applied this in business too, is whenever you feel like making a statement, so you might have an opinion on what the pain point is, for example, but rather than making that statement to the team, turn it into a question. So whenever you feel like stating, quickly think, how can this be framed as a question? And then it opens up maybe even blind spots you had missed or new perspectives, and also like facilitates more engagement.
I like that. Yeah, because people don't like to be told, is what
Yeah.
I've learned. People like to be, led to water and then like find their own path to actually drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Looking back, what has been the hidden cost of pursuing excellence that nobody warned you about?
Well, I'll start with the sport side. I think some people, I'm just going to say doubted my intensity to try and be the best I could be. And so they saw me spending a lot of time away from Calgary and away from the business arena. And they were not recognizing the amount of energy and time that I was spending there. They thought I was just away. So it took a while, I think, like everything as a sportsman, to reach the highest level. And there was a period there where I think, maybe my peers or some of my mentors or the people around me, family, thought, he's just out there in Florida kind of fooling around or going to Argentina and like, what is this? So the results were not immediate. And so when the results aren't immediate, you're getting doubt from the outside. I never doubted myself.
Yeah.
Because I could feel that I was improving and I was going towards the pinnacle.
Yeah.
So I think that early kind of not alignment of like spending a lot of time but not getting results was a little bit not difficult socially, but I could feel like people were like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you came down to Argentina and you saw the arena that I'm trying to enter, you will have a better appreciation for it. But unfortunately, Argentina is really far away, and polo's not a very well internationally known sport. So there were some like natural barriers and roadblocks, I think, to getting everyone on side. And then on the business side,
yeah, I mean, just on that, it's hard if you see the vision inside and you are executing it on day to day, but some of your loved ones or some of your support system, maybe they don't fully understand that or don't fully see it every day.
Yeah, and it's also a monetary type of commitment as well, because you can do everything properly.
This podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, All Thrive Nutrition. We're recommending Pump Punch Energy Drink. It's a natural pre-workout energy drink. It's got natural caffeine, beetroot, taurine, ginseng, pomegranate. It's vegan and gluten-free, so no stomach issues mid-lift. So Pump Punch was founded by two personal trainers who were tired of pre-workout drinks that were synthetic and non-organic. Pump Punch is all natural ingredients, genuinely built to boost performance.
Is this sustainable? Like, is this a good idea? Like,
some of that doubt starts to creep in.
Yeah, exactly. So
how do you manage that short-term sacrifice for long-term gain? I know I hear people like creating vision boards and putting pictures beside their nightstand. Like, what do you personally do to keep you focused on the long-term goal?
I gotta say, my support network from my father has been like unwavering.
Really?
And so
How so?
He started playing when he turned 40. He played as a child, but he said for a birthday present to him, he was going to get some horses and get back into it. And that's what he did. And then when I started playing, he just never took the support off. And so I think that's also one of the reasons why I was so dedicated, because as long as he was supplying horses and teams and making sure I had all the chances to excel, I mean, I go back to like not wasting it. Like the scarcity of like, this is rare, and like don't abuse this opportunity in any way, because I knew it was a superior opportunity to all my other peers in a lot of ways. And so I never really doubted what I was doing, because I felt that warmth and that support from my father.
It sounds like you were always really grateful, even growing up, for the opportunity that your family provided you in that area.
I think internally, I know I was. I think what I projected sometimes wasn't that, but...
What do you mean?
Well, I think, as a young man, the world is complex and there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of things you want to do.
Yeah.
And you got to do a lot of things as a young man that you don't want to do.
Like what?
Like go to school and like go to, you know, piano class and do like some sort of camp in the summer. Because like, you know, your brain isn't fully formed. All I really wanted to do was play polo and ride horses as a young man.
Yeah.
And I saw this support from my dad being there, and I thought like, well, why don't we just keep on going on this? Because that's my passion, and I have the. But my mother, you know, she wanted me to be more well-rounded, right? So piano and French camp and all these other things that for me were not. It just didn't really like. It didn't jive with me, with my mentality, and so I think there was a little bit of grind there until I could go to university on exactly how is this polo and the horses going to play out.
Yeah.
And so because there was tension there. It was like I was probably a little bit like cold, and I was focused in my own way, but not open to a lot of other things other than, you know, the riding and the polo as a young man.
Yeah. What's your value system around like how much input the parent has in what the child wants to do or will become? Because I get a lot of parents who they don't want to spoil their kid. They want to have a hands-on approach and kind of like guide them. Like, and then I'll get parents that are like, my kid needs to be a doctor. And the kid doesn't want to be a doctor. So what's your opinion on that dynamic as a parent?
So I think the family dynamic is unique to every unit.
Yeah.
We are so lucky in our immediate family with my wife, Kelsey, Brooklyn, Freddie, and Jackson, in that we do a lot of traveling. And so there's constant change. Every 3-4 months, and we've told our kids like, you don't have to come with us. You can go to a boarding school, and like we will find you like in the holidays and like, you know, the summers. But if you want to be with us, then we need you to do certain things like pass the state exams, pass the academic requirements that the school system is putting on you, behave in a way that's logical. And so I think they quickly realized like we have a unique situation in the way we are approaching the world, and we haven't had any pushback from the kids. And I think that also helps in a very honest way speak with them. I mean, they're still in the formation stages, but like my daughter who's 14, Brooklyn, I have almost no worries for her because she's beautiful, smart, athletic, logical, respectful. And I think that is because we said we want you to be at the high level of whatever you want to do, and we will support you, but you will be doing something at a high level. Like whether it's your track, whether it's in your academics, whether it's riding horses. We don't really, it's not so much what it is, it's that we will do something at a high level. And I'm trying to instill that more in my son, Freddie, as well, who's 11. But I see the boys' mentality and maturity much behind my daughter's. And so he's still asking me like, well, why are we doing that? Instead of like, yes, I understand why we're doing it so we can achieve excellence. And a good example is like riding yesterday. He goes, well, how many horses are we going to ride? Because he's a little bit tired already. And I'm like, whoa, wrong question. The question is, okay, we want to know how many horses we're going to ride, but what are we going to be doing riding? Like, what are we working on to become better? Like, do I know these horses? Are they new horses? Are these, you know, what's the idea? So I'm trying to get him to go from like, what are we doing to how are we going to do it well? Yeah,
you're reframing.
Yeah, how are we going to do it well?
Yeah.
He has other passions like fishing. I will never have to tell him like, you have to go fish for 2 hours.
Yeah.
At the end of 2 hours, he'll be like, that was so quick. Like, why don't we keep on going? So although I want him to play polo because he has all the infrastructure, I'm not going to like force him to play. But when we're doing it, I want him to frame it, as you said there. How do we do this well? Instead of like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Also, just to put science to what you said about the male, females' prefrontal cortex is done fully myelinating around the age of 21. Males is 2-3 years behind. So that's why you're seeing those differences. But he'll get there.
He'll get there. I mean, he's a sweet boy, and like same with my little one, Jackson. But I've noticed like a big gap between an 11-year-old female and an 11-year-old male.
Yeah. And you said you had some mentors. What were some of the most important takeaways that they taught you?
Warm, because I've been an outsider in a lot of ways as a Canadian polo player. Polo is dominated by Argentines.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, so warm to recognize that I was an outsider, but not putting it as an excuse in any way, or like just being like, look, yeah, you are different, but it doesn't matter. You can learn Spanish. You can learn how to like enter their customary ways of being in polo, because everyone has their own rituals, right? Like every sport. And so like understanding that early on was important for me. And I think also a couple mentors early on told me like, you can't do this. Just stop doing it, like on the field. Just don't do that anymore because it's a low risk play. And like thinking more around like percentages, because you're gonna play a lot of games in your life. So this is a low percentage way to play. It's a higher percentage way to play. And then from there, you start getting into like mentality and like tactics. But like when you stop doing things that are low percentage and you start doing things that are higher percentage, you improve quickly, because you're like, okay, your teammates can see like you're thinking. You can become trustworthy on the field as a captain or a player of the team.
Yeah.
And everything just goes a lot smoother. And when you're young, without experience, you don't recognize that that's a low percentage play, because it's just like, it's the way you've always done it.
Yeah.
But you're growing into your physical strength, you're growing into your mental capabilities. And so I think early on, a couple mentors just said like, stop that. Don't do it anymore. And that was big for me, because everything had been like kind of warm and like fun up to that point. But they're like, if you want to go to the next level, you got to change kind of some of the play here.
Yeah, putting that strategy in. And it sounds like from what you've said, you weigh morale and ethics very high. Like I read something in the news, and correct me if it was wrong, but where a teammate or player wanted you to purposefully lose a game, and you decided to take a stand against that, and he was penalized for it. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Tell us about the role that ethics played in that.
So I don't want to speak too much on the actual incident, but what I will say is that we were about halfway through the season, and there was an opportunity to get a better seed if we lost for the next tournament. And for me, that just didn't resonate with me, because losing on purpose was like not at all what I'd ever been taught. And it was, in some ways, I just thought disrespectful to all the energy expended by like my parents, by myself, by the grooms, by the people supporting me. And so it just didn't sit at all with me in a way that made any sense. And so I just didn't participate. It happened very fast. Like this was applied in like 1 hour before the match. They're like, this is what we're doing. And I was like, well, I'm just not doing that. So as a younger man, obviously was raised in a way like that. It really resonated with me that I was not going to go along with that. And that was a good move. You know, everyone lived to fight another day. It was an incident that wasn't attractive to anybody. There were no winners there. Everybody lost. You know, there were some sanctions by the governing body, and like it just was not anywhere you wanted to be near. But you know, I can hold my head high. I made a good decision there.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a strong moral compass. Would you say that's something that you need as a leader?
Yeah, I think I've been very fortunate, though, to be in a position where I can choose a lot of times. And so, you know, having the capability to be able to walk away and say no a few times. It's been, you know, because I've been born into a fortunate family, and obviously given a lot of capabilities. So I would say it's easier to do when you have more resources around you and capability around you.
How do you choose between being accepted and being respected?
I prefer respected.
Okay, tell me more.
Respected came from me from actually like becoming a top player on the field. I could feel that it was earned a lot of times. And like when you walked into a room or a field, you could back it up all the time. Like it was earned. And if you didn't believe me, it's like, well, let's play. And like it will show itself on the field. Like if you really have the respect, then it's not a like, let's see, you know, it's like either you have it or you don't. You know, being welcomed into like different social circles, and everyone's been excluded at points, and it doesn't feel well. But that didn't bother me as much as it didn't really sting. It was like, well, I'm already, you know, outside a lot of circles anyways. And so wanting to please those in the inner circle it was like, I would much rather work on my craft to become respected rather than like welcome.
And then the right people will come your way, right?
Yeah, and like you build your own tribe.
Yeah.
People want to go with a winner. People want to go with people that are successful. And so attracting people to come and be with you took a little bit, specifically in Argentina. It took me a while to get going there with the right people and like the right kind of chemistry.
Yeah. This podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, All Thrive Nutrition, Pump Punch Pre-Workout Energy Drink. If you're looking for something natural, sugar-free, non-carbonated, check them out. Built by professional personal trainers right here in Edmonton. Visit their website, allthrivenutrition.com. Use the promo code PerformanceCode10 to get 10% off your very first order. So what's something that you achieved that brought less fulfillment to you than you initially expected? You kind of got to the end and you were like, oh, that's it?
That's a good question. And I'm going to talk about sport. There's a few times where I saw winning a tournament, like that would be very fulfilling and completing in a lot of ways. And I felt kind of empty winning one particular tournament because our team was just so good that at the end I was like, there's no more games. Like that was as tough as it gets.
Yeah.
And so that happened to me when I was quite young. I was probably like 20. And I just remember thinking like, oh, well, like, not that it was easy, but just like that was what we planned, what we did. And we were on the trophy ceremony. And I remember just driving home being like,
what
okay,
next?
Yeah, like what's next? Like, that's it?
Yeah.
You know, and so other tournaments though, I've won where I knew like we were not the favorite and they were way more fulfilling.
Why?
Because it wasn't expected. It was like, it was very much like earned. We were not the favorites, but we ended up winning through better strategy or stronger mentality or in the moment of truth performing. And that was much more fulfilling. Like when it was tough, it was like, oh, well, like we earned it. We deserved that.
Yeah.
But when
It's like the harder it is, the more rewarding it is. And sometimes remembering that helps you get through some of the tough times.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and I think on the business arena, you know, so far it's been quite rewarding because it's not easy. So, you know, building your team, getting the results, like that every day is earned. So I can't say that anything has come easy. Nothing's been impossible so far. So I'm just going to be thanking my lucky stars that we're still on track and, you know, ready for the new challenges ahead. But I'm very pleased with where we are. With the strategy, Standard Wealth, and Accelerate. So just going to keep out on track, hopefully.
Yeah, you're very hungry. You're very driven. Do you say that you were born with that or did you cultivate it?
No, I was definitely born with that. I mean, my mom, she can attest to me being very determined in a lot of ways. And but it's served me well. I mean, I have a little bit of a stubborn streak in me that's, you know, not served me well a few times. But I would say in general, it's definitely an attribute that's served me well and taken me places where I knew they were tough to go. So, you know, there's somebody who said for determined, consistent energy.
Yeah. Well, what do you say to the guy that's like, you know, I had the goal of making my first million, got to the end, wasn't happy. Then, you know, I had another goal, got it, still not happy. And they're just on this chase for this pursuit of happiness, if you will, but none of their goals that they're hitting is making them feel, they kind of, like we talked about, they get to the end. Oh, what would you say to that person? And have you ever felt that way?
Well, I think the goal sometimes is, you know, some people have the wrong goal. I mean, if your goal is to get $1 million, but like, what do you want the money for? And so, like, I have a very clear objective of what I want to spend money on. And it's like, I want to spend it on horses. I want to spend it on my family. I want to spend it on having a great life. It's not so much that I want to see $1 million in my bank account. It's that I want to see that I can continue breeding horses, playing polo, having fun with the family.
The meaning behind it.
Yeah. And so like, if polo didn't cost so much, I wouldn't need $1 million. I would need, you know, $100,000. So the number is not so much like the end game. I see it more like the capability for me to be able to do what I want to do. And so that's why for me, business is incredibly rewarding because I have this burn rate of horses in Argentina that rain, sleet, or snow, like they need food tomorrow and they need care. So the burn rate for me makes me determined. There's no doubt about it. And also I'm having a great time. Like I love the horses. I love playing polo. I love my team Alegria. I want to continue that. So to continue that, you have to, you have to meet your responsibilities, and that type of pressure is good pressure. Yeah, I mean,
How do you pick your goals? Is it conscious, deliberate?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always been goal orientated, very focused. And so like a goal that we have right now in our business is, we've been saying we want to diversify our product offering. So we've done that. We have 5 ETFs in the market. Another goal is we want to get to $1 billion in assets under management. We're about 300 million today. But if you rewind the clock, just a year ago, we were maybe 150. And where are we going? We're going to get to $1 billion. We're going to celebrate that day. We were going to have a toast in our office, or a dinner, or a night out, and we will really celebrate that goal, because that's something that we set out long ago to get to 6 years ago, when we started with $3 million in seed capital. And so that is a very ambitious goal that not very many alternative asset managers can say they made.
Yeah.
Because you face bankruptcy risk, you face blow up risk, you face key man risk, you face regulatory risk. So it's not a 1 + 1 = 2 type of endeavor in the business arena. You can have a great strategy and a great product, but somewhere down the line, you don't get clients, or you trip yourself up, operationally. So yeah, I think the goal, trying to set ambitious goals, and we do it in our business every year. We set our KPIs, what we're aiming to achieve, and we always try and shoot high. And if we don't quite make it, it's not that we're okay with it, but I think that we know we are striving for a point that's hard to obtain.
Yeah.
And it's like a stretch goal.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but then I've been told by certain investors, oh, you're too ambitious, you need to be realistic. What do you think of that?
Well, I would say we're just one client away from getting to $1 billion. Like if Justin Lord from Aimco walked in here and said like, okay, here's $700 million, run the absolute return strategy.
Yeah.
We're there. So we really don't have to convince like one guy or girl or one investment committee. Like, is that too tough?
Yeah.
Like imagine you expended all your energy this week to get ready for that meeting with Aimco, and you met with them, and you convinced them that you had a strategy that was worthy for inclusion into their portfolio, and they did it, there you go.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult. I'm smoothing over how tough that would be. But imagine if you started smaller. Like you said, okay, well, we're in Calgary. The UFC of being an important institution here in the social fabric of Calgary. They have an endowment. Maybe you said like, okay, there's a way that we can help them because one of their strategies fell down, or you have a donor that says like, I really want to have the money managed by Accelerate and Standard Wealth. Well, that's a way that you can actually very tangibly get to where you're wanting to go. You're not going to get to $1 billion this week, but you chip away at over time.
Yeah, and you pivot. Yeah, go back to a moment where you felt in your stomach, oh, I messed up. Like I failed. That did not go as planned. I need to make a huge pivot. Walk me through that. What did you do? How did you get out? How did you pivot in that emotional moment of failure?
That's a question for me that's tougher to answer.
Yeah.
Not saying that I haven't had failures, but the failures have been relatively quite small. And so an example of that would be we started a clothing business where we focused on polo equipment. It was called Millerville. And so I had the objective twofold. One, look great on the polo field, and two, don't lose money. So by the third year, we broke even, and we had the gloves, the jerseys, the white pants, the blankets. We looked professional, but we barely made a penny, and we were expending a lot of energy. And so I realized when we had our third year anniversary meeting with my team that this was not a scalable business. And so I wouldn't say it was a failure, but I said we're investing a lot of our human capital and energy and time, and this is never going to be a big business because the market's just too small. And so what we did is we all agreed, we're a team of 4 or 5 of us, we needed to go to a lifestyle brand and partner with them. And because we came to that realization, I'm not sure if the universe was listening or not. A lifestyle clothing brand approached us about 6 months later and said, we love what you're doing on the Polo side. We have no idea about Polo, but we want to be associated with it. And you guys can do the on-field stuff and we'll do the off-field. And so it was a great partnership.
Yeah.
By realizing that no matter how hard we pushed on that door of success, the reward on the other side of the door was very tiny. Like the Polo market is tiny.
Yeah.
And so I would say that was a clear instance where I thought that, we could have a great sustainable business being in, manufacturing Polo whites and gloves.
Yeah.
But in reality, the market was just too small.
Yeah. Well, I think you very indirectly and inadvertently answered my question. I don't think it's that you haven't had failure, because everyone has, but your answer alone, well, I don't know if I've had failure, tells me directly that you're framing, that you have the cognitive flexibility to not even view it as a failure. You view it as a moment of growth or a moment where you need to pivot. So you're not even debilitated by things going wrong, it sounds like. You've just okay, well, there's gonna be another way. Let's problem solve. And that, in psychology, we call that cognitive flexibility versus cognitive rigidity. Someone who's really rigid and who had their tunnel vision for that goal may have become completely debilitated by it. All right, so in a sentence or less, how would you define high performance?
High performance is hard to achieve goals through consistent energy and action.
Love it, consistency. Well, Fred, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you to All Thrive Nutrition for sponsoring the Performance Code show. And thank you to Savvy Mind for sponsoring this beautiful venue. Subscribe now and stay tuned for our next episode.